Across Texas, a silent invasion is underway. It's not lions, wolves, or bears, it's wild hogs. With exploding populations, razor-sharp tusks, and an endless appetite, these animals cause billions in damage every year. Farmers wake to find fields ripped apart, crops devoured, fences broken, and livestock threatened. What makes the problem even more terrifying is sheer numbers. There are now an estimated 3 to 4 million wild hogs in Texas alone, breeding faster than hunters can control. They've become the single greatest agricultural threat in the state. So how do farmers fight back? Guns and dogs help. But there's only one method that truly works: massive, carefully engineered hog traps. These devices capture entire herds at once, turning the tide in a battle that farmers can't afford to lose. This is the story of Texas's war against wild hogs, and the ingenious ways farmers trap millions of them to protect their land, their animals, and their future. Wild hogs may look like ordinary farm animals at first glance, but in Texas, they have become one of the most destructive forces ever unleashed on the land. Unlike deer or cattle, hogs don't simply graze. They root, tearing into the soil with their powerful snouts and tusks, leaving behind fields that look as though a bomb has gone off. Farmers plant crops in spring, only to watch entire acres vanish overnight under the hooves and teeth of these invaders. The real problem is reproduction. A single sow can give birth twice a year, producing up to 10 piglets each time. Within months, that family becomes a sounder, an organized group that moves together, eats together, and destroys together. Texas is now home to an estimated 4 million wild hogs, and with populations increasing by 20% each year, the situation is spiraling beyond control. For farmers, the numbers are devastating. Damage caused by wild hogs already costs the state over $500 million annually. Corn, hay, melons, peanuts, and wheat are all vulnerable. But it's not only crops that suffer. Fences collapse under their weight, water troughs are polluted, and young calves or lambs are sometimes attacked outright. Wildlife habitats are disrupted too, with deer and turkeys pushed aside as hogs outcompete them for food. Hunters kill thousands of hogs each year, but the effort barely makes a dent. For every hog taken down, more are born. Gunfire, dogs, and helicopters may grab attention, but they are temporary fixes against an enemy that breeds faster than humans can respond. This is why the invasion feels unstoppable. Farmers stand on their porches at night and listen to the sound of rooting just beyond the fence line, knowing that by morning their work may be destroyed. Communities unite to push back, but without a large-scale solution, the hogs always return. The truth is simple. Traditional methods will never win this war. Wild hogs are too many, too smart, and too determined. To survive, Texas farmers have had to invent a new strategy, one that goes beyond the rifle and into the realm of large-scale trapping. Only by capturing entire sounders at once can they hope to reclaim their land from the relentless invasion. When rifles and helicopters fail, farmers turn to engineering. Across Texas, a new kind of battlefield has emerged. One built not with bullets, but with steel panels, gates, and patience. These are the hog traps, massive enclosures designed to capture dozens of animals in a single night. The design is deceptively simple. Farmers set up circular or rectangular traps, sometimes 30 feet across, with reinforced panels strong enough to withstand the brute force of full-grown boars. At the entrance is a heavy gate, often triggered remotely by a smartphone app or a tripwire system. The idea isn't to catch one hog, but to wait until the entire sounder, the family group, steps inside. Only then is the gate slammed shut. Bait is the critical ingredient. Corn soaked in diesel or flavored with molasses is scattered inside the trap. The smell is irresistible to hogs, but discourages cattle and deer from approaching. Over several nights, trail cameras watch silently as more and more hogs enter to feed, building trust until the entire group is comfortable. Farmers monitor the footage from their phones, waiting for the perfect moment. Once the trap is sprung, chaos erupts. Dozens of hogs slam against the steel, squealing, grunting, and trying to dig their way out. But the reinforced panels hold. Farmers approach cautiously at dawn, knowing that an angry hog can be as dangerous as any predator. The animals are loaded onto trailers using ramps and chutes, their strength and aggression requiring teamwork to manage. These traps are not cheap. A single setup can cost several $1,000s, and maintaining them demands time and effort. Yet for farmers, the investment is worth it. A successful night can capture an entire sounder, preventing them from returning to destroy fields again. Unlike hunting, which removes one or two animals at a time, trapping has the potential to wipe out entire family groups in a single strike. Across Texas, farmers share blueprints, footage, and strategies online. Social media groups are filled with videos of traps slamming shut, celebrated like victories in a war. Every successful capture represents hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, this endless invasion can be slowed. But even with these massive traps, the hogs adapt, learning new tricks, avoiding certain baits, and pushing the conflict into its next stage. To understand why Texas farmers fight so hard, you only need to look at the ground they walk on. Wild hogs are not just another nuisance. They are a force of destruction unlike anything else in North America. Each night, thousands of them tear through fields, rooting with their tusks and snouts, ripping up soil in search of worms, roots, and crops. A single group can level acres of farmland in just hours, leaving behind deep craters, broken fences, and ruined irrigation lines. For corn, wheat, and rice growers, this means not just damage, but entire harvests lost. The numbers are staggering. Experts estimate that wild hogs cause more than $2.5 billion in damage every year across the United States, and Texas alone accounts for nearly half. Farmers wake up to find newly planted fields shredded, livestock feed stolen, and water sources contaminated by wallowing hogs. Their hooves erode riverbanks, their rooting destroys hay meadows, and their raids on stored grain force families to spend thousands on repairs. But it isn't only farms that suffer. Suburban neighborhoods on the edges of cities like Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio now find hogs tearing up lawns, raiding garbage bins, and even attacking pets. Drivers on rural roads have collided with hogs weighing more than 300 pounds, sometimes with deadly consequences. For ranchers, calves and lambs are at risk. Hogs have been known to attack newborn livestock and even scavenge on weakened animals. What makes the destruction worse is their intelligence. Unlike cattle or deer, hogs learn from mistakes. If a trap kills one of their kind, the rest avoid it. If a farmer reinforces fences, hogs test every weak spot until they break through. Their ability to adapt, reproduce, and move in large groups means that no solution ever works for long. For many farmers, the damage isn't just financial, it's personal. Watching months of planting, irrigation, and hard work wiped out overnight by a single sounder leaves a sense of helplessness and anger. That is why the battle isn't optional. To farm in Texas today means not only sowing seeds, but also preparing for war against millions of invaders that never stop coming. And yet, as destructive as they are, wild hogs also represent opportunity for hunters, landowners, and even industries built around controlling them. As the hog problem grew worse, farmers realized that simple traps and fences weren't enough. They needed precision, control, and the ability to strike at exactly the right moment. That's where technology stepped in and transformed the fight. Modern hog control now relies on smart traps, massive steel corrals equipped with trail cameras, motion sensors, and remote-controlled gates. Instead of waiting nearby, farmers monitor live video feeds on their phones. They watch as hogs cautiously enter, feeding on corn scattered across the ground. When the entire sounder has stepped inside, a button is pressed and the gate slams shut. This innovation prevents partial catches. In the past, if only a few hogs were trapped, the survivors would learn to avoid cages forever. Now, with remote monitoring, farmers can ensure dozens are taken at once, making every capture count. Some systems even use artificial intelligence to identify hogs and avoid false triggers from deer, cattle, or coyotes. Technology goes beyond traps. GPS tracking collars have been placed on captured hogs, then released to study movement patterns. These Judas hogs lead researchers to new sounders, helping pinpoint where to place traps or bait. Drones equipped with thermal cameras scan fields at night, revealing groups otherwise hidden in tall grass or thickets. Helicopter hunting has also grown popular, where sharpshooters take down dozens in a single flight. Though expensive, it provides immediate relief for ranchers facing overwhelming numbers. Combined with ground trapping, it creates a two-pronged attack: fast removal from the air, sustained control on the ground. These advancements have given farmers a fighting chance. Instead of relying on luck, they now use data, sensors, and cameras to outsmart an enemy that has plagued them for decades. Each successful capture not only saves crops and livestock, but also builds a sense of progress in a battle that once felt hopeless. Yet even with all this technology, one truth remains clear: hogs are survivors. They adapt, they multiply, and they return. For Texas farmers, victory doesn't come from eliminating hogs completely. It comes from staying one step ahead, using every tool available, and fighting a war that never truly ends. The destruction caused by wild hogs in Texas isn't limited to farms. These animals are tearing apart entire ecosystems, leaving behind damage that takes years to repair. By rooting through soil with their tusks and snouts, hogs strip away native grasses and plants that deer, turkeys, and other wildlife rely on. The result is erosion, reduced food sources, and land that looks more like a wasteland than farmland or prairie. Ground nesting birds are among the hardest hit. Hogs devour eggs and chicks, reducing populations of quail and other species already in decline. Small mammals, reptiles, and amphibians also become easy prey. In some areas, hog pressure has been so heavy that conservationists warn of native species being displaced entirely. Water sources face a different threat. Hogs wallow in ponds and creeks, stirring up mud and contaminating the water with bacteria and parasites. Ranchers relying on natural water for cattle often discover sickness in their herds weeks later. For rural communities, the contamination poses potential health risks as well. Perhaps the most concerning issue is disease. Wild hogs carry brucellosis, swine fever, and parasites that can spread to livestock, or even to humans. A single infected sounder can move across counties, spreading illness faster than ranchers or veterinarians can contain. Even state parks and wildlife reserves suffer. Trails are ruined, trees uprooted, and habitats destroyed, forcing conservation programs to spend millions on repairs that rarely last. The ecological cost is enormous. Hogs may be most visible when they shred crops, but their lasting damage comes from the slow collapse of natural systems. Without aggressive management, Texas risks losing not just farmland, but the very landscapes that define its wild heritage. With millions of hogs roaming Texas, the fight is far too big for farmers alone. That's why state and local governments have stepped in, creating programs designed to slow the invasion and give communities a fighting chance. One of the most effective strategies has been bounty systems. In some counties, hunters are paid for every hog tail or set of ears they turn in. It doesn't solve the problem entirely, but it motivates more people to join the effort and reduces pressure on local farms. The state has also invested heavily in research and education. Texas A&M and wildlife agencies study hog behavior, breeding rates, and migration patterns. They teach landowners how to set up traps correctly, avoid common mistakes, and coordinate efforts across property lines. This cooperation is crucial because if one farmer traps hogs but a neighbor doesn't, the sounders simply shift from field to field. Community groups have formed to share resources, borrowing traps, swapping live camera feeds, and even running cooperative hunts. These networks allow rural areas with limited budgets to mount large-scale responses that individual families couldn't afford on their own. Still, officials acknowledge the fight is never ending. Even with bounties, advanced traps, and community action, hog numbers rebound quickly. A population reduced one year can double the next if trapping slows down. The message from state leaders is clear. Hog management is not a one-time campaign. It's a permanent responsibility. Farmers, ranchers, hunters, and government agencies must work together year after year just to hold the line. For Texas, the battle against hogs has become part of daily life, woven into the culture of farming itself. It's not about winning once. It's about never giving up the fight. Wild hogs are more than just a nuisance in Texas. They are a relentless, destructive force that threatens farms, ecosystems, and even communities. Farmers wake up each day knowing that a single night of rooting can undo months of work. Hunters risk injury chasing massive boars. And despite millions of hogs being killed each year, the problem continues to grow. But this fight is also a story of resilience. Texans have shown creativity and determination, building smarter traps, organizing community hunts, and pushing forward with new technology. Each measure may feel like a small victory, but together they help hold the line. The bigger question remains: can humans ever truly control an invader that adapts so quickly and breeds so fast? Or is this battle destined to last forever? Let us know what you think in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like, subscribe, and join us for the next story of humans against nature.